Anytime someone talked about Auntie Anne's, they would like go viral because it's such a loved brand.
This whole talk right now, Dana, is turned up. Yeah, that sounded weird.
Oh, it's so tough. The pressure of like always coming up with a cool idea, like that is tiring. This campaign did so well is because we were so chronically online with them.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Radical Content. I'm so pumped today to have Bari Tippett on the show. Bari, I've kind of LinkedIn stalked you like many people for a while. You've got an awesome story and I can't wait to get into it. Thanks for giving us some time today.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here and yap with you. It's my favorite thing to do. So let's get into it.
So if you don't know who she is, you should. Way back in the day, she was in Aunt Annie's and Jamba and at Sweetgreen, and now she's at Little Spoon. I guess where I'd kind of just like to start is I'd really kind of love to understand, because you've been doing social for a while, and you know I've been doing it for since 2006, so I've been doing it for a long time. But it's changed, and I'd love to hear you kind of talk about how do you stay in love with it? Like what is the thing about community building and audience engagement that stays you connected?
Well, first, I think social is the best job you can have on the marketing team for a bunch of reasons, but I think my number one answer to this is the dopamine rush. I mean, you can't explain to someone outside of social what that rush feels when you go viral or when you hit something so perfectly on the head. Like that rush of being like, oh my God, I cannot believe we did this is something you can't explain. I just love it. I'm so passionate about social. I mean, being able to talk to fans, being able to DM celebrities and influencers that I personally love is just, it's been such a fun experience growing with social as a career, but I really I'm a lover. I'm a creator. I love being creative. And I think it's constantly changing, which keeps it really fun.
Simple question. Why food? It feels like you are hanging out in the food. And I know Little Spoon is a little different than a Sweetgreen or a Jamba Juice, but why food? How is that kind of, where
Honestly,
your career's landed?
It just fell into my lap. Like I did not
That's every social media manager story ever, right?
No, literally. But I think it's cool because there's like this like class of social, like directors of social at this point who started their career in like 2012, 2014, 15, where social wasn't a career. And so like, I remember like I started as a community manager at an agency and was a B2B agency. And so I worked on food accounts like Harvestland Chicken, Butterball Food Service. Like I was like, what the heck? Who are these people? But like now looking back, I'm like, honestly, this is like a meant to be type of thing because now I'm still in food. And I think, when we started in our careers in 2015, for example, we just took a job that we thought was right. Like it was in social, like no one knew social. We were on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And so my career just kind of gave me these opportunities and I ran with them. And I just stuck and it's been really fun. And if you asked me, right out of college, what I wanted to do is work in fashion. That's all I wanted to do. But, as these opportunities came, I'm not going to say no at working at the Coca-Cola company or Auntie Anne's or Sweetgreen or Little Spoon. And it's been really fun just kind of see my career ebb and flow.
Yeah, no, it's so fun. So let's go back to Auntie Anne's. Auntie Anne's for me, by the way, is like, it's that temptation in the airport, if I'm honest. Like it is like, that is where it comes. But you found a way, and I know you did a lot there, but there was a moment in time where you found a way to really explode their TikTok account. I'd love to understand, how did that happen? What did you do to kind of blow up the Auntie Anne's TikTok account?
This is when TikTok was the wild, wild west. Like no one knew what they were doing. I literally remember we sent a super fan that went viral on Twitter. She tweeted like something around Auntie Anne's, like, I wish Auntie Anne's had a drive-through. And we were actually opening our first drive-through. And so we sent her to Texas where we opened our first drive-through, did this whole thing for her. And I remember I had to come up with a video for TikTok when we were launching TikTok. And I just remember sitting in the hotel editing this video like for an hour. And I like laugh at myself because I'm like, girl, you have no idea what your future is about to hold. And so my energy behind Auntie Anne's TikTok was I was posting every single day. I was reposting people. And one thing about Auntie Anne's that everyone needs to understand, like no one talked bad about Auntie Anne's. Anytime someone talked about Auntie Anne's, they would like go viral because it's such a loved brand. And when they said, take Auntie Anne's outside of the mall, viral. Like, so like it was like a really beautiful moment for Auntie Anne's. And so I remember my first post that went viral on Auntie Anne's. I spelled the word pretzel wrong. And it was clips from a commercial shoot that my manager was sending to me. And I just clipped them together, probably with a song that we had no licensing to. And I just remember like looking at my phone, like 11K, 20K, 50K. And I'm like, oh my God, we're doing it. We are doing it. Ever since that one viral TikTok, I just kept going. I just kept posting and I just got more comfortable creating these videos. And I would say that I felt like a music video director. Like I was like finding the amazing song, hopping on the trend as fast as I could. And the beautiful thing about it is I was just going. No one was telling me what to do. I was just figuring it out on the fly. I think that was like the part of the magic was that I just let it rip and I sent it. And not everything worked, but when it did, it did. And so that was like the beautiful experiment of what I call the Auntie Anne's TikTok.
Yeah, I love all of that. There's a couple things that come to mind. One was whenever I was starting the EA Sports accounts way back in the day, this is like 2009, I remember just how much testing and like we had no idea what we were doing, but we were doing it with like a brand people loved and cared about. And so it was fun. And the other thing you said there that I think is so interesting is this idea of a music video director.
Yes.
This idea that like great social professionals, like the great, right? There's a lot of people that can manage a calendar. There's a lot of people that can come up with topics, but great social media professionals, they have this like innate ability to get culture, to have taste, to be plugged in, and to come up with ideas that are so different and so unique and so on point. And to be honest, like I think that's one of the hardest things is finding the talent that exists and to be able to kind of give them a place to do that. And so I love that.
And I think, and I'm sure we'll get into it, like when I think back about the people that I've worked with in my career and the brands that I've been on, that is what has taught me taste. And I've been thinking a lot about taste recently as I'm growing the social team at Little Spoon, and I'm a newbie at Little Spoon, and I'm really trying to bring taste to our feed. Not saying it didn't have it, but I think it's bringing that brand taste, that coolness effect. And I think about Auntie Anne's, which was very culture forward, meme forward. How quickly can we do something? And then I think about Sweetgreen, where we did not care about trends. We used it as a signal to help ideate things, but we did our own thing. And I think about all of the people that I worked with and how I was able to get that experience of understanding culture at Auntie Anne's, but also understanding taste at Sweetgreen. And now I feel like I have a really good foundation on how to mesh those two together. So it's been a really fun experience.
Yeah, tell me about that with Sweetgreen, because I think that's interesting. I think a lot of social pros like try to steal the old kind of either Wendy's model or like what's trendy, what's turned up. Like I don't know if I think Dana would probably say I'm too old to say turned up. Is that a thing?
I'm bringing back like old sayings, like awesome sauce. I say
great.
swag.
I love it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So this whole talk right now, Dana, is turned up. Yeah, that sounded weird. You know, but tell me a little bit about why was Sweetgreen kind of like that wasn't our thing, and why like strategically why was that a decision? It's like that's not us, this is us, and then kind of tell us what was you then? What was Sweetgreen from a strategy standpoint trying to do?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because when I came in, I thought I was about to take the Auntie Anne's playbook and put it on Sweetgreen.
100%, right.
And I did do that for a hot minute. If you scroll through the Sweetgreen feed, you'll see memes. That was like my first day. I was like, memes.
You're like crushing it. I'm crushing it.
Then my creative team was like, we need to calm that down. Like, that's not Sweetgreen. And I was like, okay, you're right. I was just like, post. I
just see like a brand director like knocking on your door and saying, hey, Bari, can we chat for a second?
No, that literally is what happened. And, you know, what I learned was that the energy behind Sweetgreen was very much like, how do we make Sweetgreen like a fashion brand or a lifestyle brand? And I think that is really the energy. We wanted to mesh food and fashion together. So when you look at brands like J. Crew or Kith, it's all about lifestyle. We're not like saying like, buy this salad, like order the harvest bowl. It's very much like we want you to feel like you're part of the Sweetgreen world. And when you think about like people walking around with their Sweetgreen bag, that's a status symbol. And when you think about Sweetgreen at its core, it's not fast food. You're paying for premium products and premium ingredients. And so we wanted our social to feel that way. Whereas at Auntie Anne's, it's an indulgence. We want you to look at our content and laugh for a second. Whereas Sweetgreen, it's a lifestyle change. When I understood that, I was like, okay, now I understand why these memes and graphics don't make sense, and we can use them when it makes sense. But we really had a formula. We were known for our macro shots and our really stylized shooting and our lighting and the way that we showed up on photo shoots. But then when you think about our TikTok, it was very different. That's where we were able to be fun and flirty and play. But Instagram was like our website, obviously, and it was more serious, with a flair of like humor and a flair of trends.
So how have you taken that? Because that's just such a great learning for any social professional. Like I literally thought I was taking the EA Sports playbook into Universal Parks and Resorts, and it's like video games for like teenagers and moms that are booking $5,000 vacations. It's just very, very different business and strategy. So I understand that. What did you learn from that, and how did you bring that into Little Spoon?
I think Little Spoon is such a fun brand to be a part of because I am the consumer. Like I have a 14-month daughter. I am.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so, and I'm chronically online. So it's creating a formula, no pun intended, around when you think of moms, like I don't think people really think about, 30 something women that, still shop at Zara. We are obsessed with makeup. Like we are silly haha on TikTok. And so I feel like it's figuring out what they like online and spitting it back to them, really. And I think like one thing that I've learned in parenthood and motherhood is that we need to speak their language, and our language is internet. We grew up on the internet, and we, at 3 a.m. when we're feeding our baby, we're like, is this normal? And I'm literally searching it on TikTok, and I'm not even like going to Google. I'm trying to find other people that are dealing with what I'm dealing with online. And so when I think about creating for Little Spoon, I'm thinking about creating things that I want to see. I still want to see silly haha memes. I still want to see beautiful content shot. Like I want to see the mix of what I did at Auntie Anne's and what I did at Sweetgreen, but with that Little Spoon flair. And I think too, there's another level of experts and bringing in people that are experts in like parenting or lactation or feeding. So figuring out a way to make that social first. One thing that we did at Sweetgreen that is totally relatable is we would highlight our farmers, and we would highlight how we support farmers. We did a whole shoot at a Brussels sprouts farm, and we created content that was social forward with our Brussels sprout farmers. When I think about working with experts, yes, the content could be dry, but if we make it fun, if we make it social forward, that's the win. And again, at Little Spoon, we're testing and learning. I'm barely at month 4, so I'm still kind of figuring it out. We're building the plane as we fly it, and it's been so much fun because they're letting the social team fly, and they're letting us figure out what's working, what's not working.
The other thing that's interesting, we talked about how the channels have changed, and you mentioned like we did this differently on TikTok than we did on Instagram. There's so much that's evolved, right? Like we used to be like try to be custom for every channel, and then we did a lot of cross posting, even though we know it's valuable to do custom for every channel. It was all about feed, and then it became all about For You pages. Really, with the introduction of TikTok and kind of reels and a different level of. I don't know how we've gotten this far in without saying algorithm, but algorithm. With all of those changes, that can be fun and exciting for some. That can be daunting and difficult for others. Why do you think that social media is the toughest job in marketing?
Oh, it's so tough because you constantly have to be thinking forward. You constantly have to think about what's cool. And I saw a post on LinkedIn. I can't remember who wrote it, but it's like the pressure of like always coming up with a cool idea. Like that is tiring. Cool is subjective, right? What's cool to me is not what is cool to you. And like, that's also tough. It's always constantly educating, constantly figuring out.
How often have you had to go to a CMO and try to explain why this is interesting?
Honestly, not that often, if you want.
Oh, you had some good CMOs.
Yeah, I've had some good CMOs, and I've also had CMOs that understand social.
Yeah,
that is the key.
That's
so
a
if you're looking
changer.
for a new job, it's really about understanding like how your leadership views social. At Auntie Anne's, my CBO would be like, let her rip. Like, I'll be in videos, like, you go, 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 go. At Sweetgreen, my CBO, again, he came from Chipotle. He understood social and he just pushed the boundaries. And my CBO at Little Spoon, she is chronically online. It's freaking amazing. Like the amount of content that we're sending each other over and over again. It's just like seeing her feel so inspired makes me inspired to be creative. Social is just so tough because it's also so visible. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks that they can do their job, but they don't understand managing a content calendar. They don't understand the nuances of creating content for TikTok versus creating content for Instagram, for creating content on Facebook, or why we should start a broadcast channel, or why we should get off Threads. Like there's just so many tiny nuances that are so hard to explain that it just makes it tough. It's not just posting. And it's just kind of crazy that we still have to say that. But, you know, it's even thinking about influencers and creators and how we get this content and writing the briefs and sending rounds of feedback. It's just like, it's more than a team of one. It's multiple people. And I think the more that, you know, companies and brands invest, the better their social is going to be.
Let me tell a little story. I was at Social Media Week this year, and they asked a question, how many people in the audience are a team of one? It was probably 70 to 80% of people raised their hand. And I've been lucky, you know, at Universal, we started as 2. We built it to 24. Now that was social, influencer, and YouTube and content. And we were really investing. And it was a lot of work to get it to that point. It didn't happen overnight. But yeah, give me your take a little bit on why brands need to evolve from this, you know, social media team of one.
I've pretty much been a team of one my entire career. Surprisingly, at Auntie Anne's, I was a team of one for about a year, and then I hired a specialist, and we also took on another brand. So I was hired to just do Auntie Anne's, and then I got promoted to do Auntie Anne's and Jamba. Sorry.
It's okay. Read the email.
No, absolutely not. We're not an email forward brand. We're Slack brand. So the emails get checked later. So yeah, so at Auntie Anne's, I was a team of one for about a year. Then I got promoted to oversee Auntie Anne's and Jamba, and I brought on a specialist. And so it was me and my specialist. And then we had an internal content person who oversaw all 7 brands, which was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But, you know, we had a test kitchen. We were constantly creating down in the test kitchen. And this was kind of before like influencers and creators creating for the brand were a big thing. So it was super manageable. Then I moved to Sweetgreen and I was managing a team of 3, and then lots of changes happened. And at the end, I was sitting on the creative team where I was working with our creative director, art director, content creator, and I was doing influencers at the time. So it wasn't, I was technically a team of one, but I had so much support. I didn't feel like that. And then at Little Spoon, we're building. So I literally just gave out an offer today to someone to join as the social content specialist here at Little Spoon.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And Rachel Carton just posted a LinkedIn bio article about like, what would be your first hire? Social content person, because you're only as good as your content. And so that was a huge priority for me. And so I also had a freelancer help. But at Little Spoon, what is really interesting is we have so much support. I've never worked at a brand with this much support. We have an agency that helps with social content. I had a freelancer help with social. Our influencer team is amazing and helps, you know, reach out to creators to create content just for our feed. I just hired a social content specialist. I create content. So it's kind of overwhelming. I've never been in a place with this many streams of content. And so it's been fun kind of dealing with the opposite side where I was like always struggling to get content. Now I have way too much content. I mean, our community manager alone, like she manages like all of our community, and the amount of tags we get, the amount of UGC we get, it's like, I don't have enough days in the week to use all of this content. So it's been a really fun challenge to figure out and sift through. And I think that's where taste and
quality. Then you can start investing in quality.
And what I say is like volume's not the problem. It's quality is the problem. And so it's sifting through and figuring out like what is worth our feed and, you know, all that stuff.
So the question on that 80% is, how do I get out of a team of one?
So I think like
what's your secrets?
Beg, plead, no.
Beg, move, get a different job.
I think it's really about, again, like educating your leadership on everything that goes on. And when you think about, like, I think having a solid social strategy as the foundation is key. And then you can say, look, I have to create every single day on TikTok. I'm creating 12 to 15 posts on our Instagram feed, plus stories. That is so many pieces of content going out a month, and you want me to do it? And I think what's interesting too, like, I'm not a Canva whiz. I'm not a Photoshop whiz. I'm an ideas person. So it's also saying like, look, I'm not a creator in that way. I need to hire a
Mm-hmm.
consultant. I need to hire a freelancer to help us get there. And so I think it's really educating your CMO and also talking to other social pros. Like I'm really close with Andrew Downing from, Kava, and I've been with him as he was hiring his team, and now he has a team of 5. Like that's just amazing.
Yeah.
And so also understanding how other brands are set up for success for social is another, value add to your argument of why you need more than one person to manage. So,
Andrew, friend of the show. We had him on the show
yeah,
once
yeah.
already, and I was going to ask him if he's your enemy. It sounds like you guys are
No, no,
frenemies.
no, no. We're never enemies. We were friends, and like
That's fun.
it's fun because we like send each other voice notes because we even though Kava and Sweetgreen,
Yeah.
me and him were like just yapping away.
That's so good.
Yeah, dealing with the same problems and issues and wins and losses. And it's been like I have like a board of social people that I keep to my chest, like Todd Needle, Andrew Downing, Shelby Jacobs, all these people that I use as my friends to help go through my thoughts. And it's just nice to relate to other people in the industry.
All right. Another thing that you kind of brought up that I wanted to give you the kind of the stage for. I was asked recently by a CMO of a major legacy brand, does follower count still matter? And I had an interesting, I think, response, but I'm interested in your take.
No, I could care less about our follower growth.
But do you still report on it?
No, absolutely not.
You don't even report on it.
No.
Wow. I've heard people say that take, but I still have a dashboard that's like, and our follower count is up 1%.
Well, here's the thing. Like one thing at Little Spoon, like we have paid. Like we do paid. You're gonna get followers innately from that. So it's like, and it's also hard to like kind of decipher. Did we get this right, or did we get followers from paid? So that's why I don't care. I care about engagement. I care about, is our content landing? Are people commenting? Are people sharing it? Are people saving it? Like that's what I care about. When you look at brands that go viral, a lot of the times they don't have followers. So it's like that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the quality of the content, and are we creating content that people want to engage with?
Take me inside of either your brain or your process or your team. What are you doing on a like weekly basis to like, I don't know, do you look back at the previous week and say these 3 things were awesome? What do we learn about? Like, kind of help me understand your system for optimizing content.
Again, being a super user of social is really important. We also have a bunch of DMs on Instagram with the full Little Spoon team where we just are sending things to each other. And if you see things enough times, you're like, okay, this is something that we need to hop onto. We have social listening. We report on social weekly, and we look at what's working and what's not working. But I really, truly just get inspired by what I see online and what I think is going to work for our pages. We are in a testing and learning phase. So whether that's collabing with our founder or doing a silly carousel. We did a cow live stream. We were live on Instagram for 24 hours from New Zealand when we launched our formula at Little Spoon. And we did a your month equals your cow. And it was like one of those silly things that like I send to my husband, 100,000 views. Like it just—
Is this the cow live stream that I saw?
Yeah, we did cow live stream. So that post, your month equals your cow, it was like such a easy layup and it popped off. So like that insight alone was that, okay, people want content like the horoscope content and things that feel really personal to them. That's going to work. So it's just like constantly studying and analyzing what we've posted and why it flopped and why did it not flop. And so we're just kind of in our like hypothesis era.
When you're in that hypothesis era, like super in the weeds question here, do you, I think my camera just moved. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm like, you're kind of crooked.
When you're in this phase, do you have content topics? Do you have pillars that you're trying to hit, or are you literally kind of figuring it out as you go still?
It's a mix of both. I've retired the word content pillar, and I've introduced—
rest in peace, content pillar. Someone's got to put a graphic over the top of this.
Like a little like angel wings. We've retired content pillars and we've introduced creative territories. I didn't want us to think narrow. I want us to think more broadly, because your month equals your cow could be in multiple pillars. So I wanted us to think about territories where multiple things can live. And so we, of course, have our 3 creative territories. But I think it's interesting when we're thinking about trending formats, like Knicks, all this basketball stuff, for example. Like, what territory does that belong in? It's just culture. You know what I mean? That's part of our culture territory. Are we going to talk about it? Probably. But I'm not thinking about, okay, where does this fit in our pillar strategy? No, it's just part of culture. So we're going to hop on it. But when I think about creative launches and retail launches and kind of those larger brand campaign moments, they're rooted in one or multiple creative territories, but it all ladders up back into our strategy and like kind of what we're trying to be online.
All right, so there was a big moment at Sweetgreen, and the Nicolandria stuff, Love Island 2025.
Yes.
So, like, take me back. I know you've talked about this a bunch. By the way, she's a great follow on LinkedIn. If you're not following her, you should. Maybe this will be the last time you have to tell the story. But take me back to how did this start? How did this happen? Give me the story.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I remember I just came back from maternity leave. I got back July of last year. And I remember I was texting Jillian Wheeler, who's like the goat of all goats, creative director. And she said, we need, our brief is to do something culturally relevant. And we were like, Love Island. Like, let's talk Love Island. So we were going back and forth on who we should go after. And we landed on Nick. And the storyline was around Alandria was looking for a country boy. And so we wanted to turn Nick into our country boy or cowboy. I can't remember the exact term. And so we literally in 30 days, our creative team concepted this turning Nick into a country boy campaign. And we had to come up with the concept, have to come up with the social content, because this was the campaign that we were shooting for all our whole online ecosystem, email and social and menu and stuff like that. And so we had a great production company called Gold Horse that kind of really took the idea and ran with it. And we all got up to California. Nick was amazing. This was his first real big campaign. And one thing that was amazing about it was that we did a give back part of the campaign to a diabetes foundation, which is something that is really special to his heart. So we were able to really get personal with him. And one thing that was really amazing about Nick was that he was down for everything and anything. And we did a lot of fun bits on social around we did the Ariana slow-mo walk, and we did that with Nick. We did 21 questions with Nick. And I think the thought process obviously around the campaign was to kind of do our version of the country boy. But from a social perspective, when I was thinking about the strategy, I wanted Sweetgreen to give these fans information about Nick that they've never seen before, that they can only get on Sweetgreen. And when we took a deep dive on what was happening with the Nicolandria fandom, they had a cult following. We could not do anything without it being studied. Perfect example. We did a Country Boy 101 book, and people thought the 0 was O for Alandria. That was not that was not the case. It was literally just the font choice. But that's how intense the fandom was studying. And one thing that I really wanted to do from a social perspective was dive deep into this fandom and get insights on what they were talking about. Yeah. So I found this Twitter group, and I spent hours in there figuring out how they were talking about Nick and how they were talking about Alandria. And so when we launched this stuff, we hooked them and they were in. And so one thing that we did was we sent out these kits. We had stickers. We had Nick. We made maple syrup with Nick's maple syrup because of the breakfast stuff. And we didn't send it to influencers. We sent this kits to these fans. And that was a huge win for us because we knew how this cult following reacted to this stuff. So I outreach to all of these fans, and I said, we want to send you something. And we only had a certain amount. And so people were upset that they didn't get it, but these people were like, this is my first PR box. This is my first moment. And it was around a couple that they loved so much. And so it took us a month. It went from that 1 month from when Julian sent me that text to actually execute. It was absolutely amazing. And then the second part of the campaign was bringing Alandria. We had to finish the story, right? We had to pull a chair up to the table and bring Alandria. And so we did that at the speed of light. And obviously, she was, our country Barbie. And that was something that Jillian and Mike, our director, kind of envisioned. And we made Alandria into our Barbie, and we shot in Sweetgreen in LA, and people were like spying on us and taking videos and posting it on Twitter and like leaking the news. And so because of that, we literally took a picture of our hard drive with the photos, and we were just like playing with the fans.
Sure.
And that's why I think this campaign did so well, is because we were so chronically online with them. We changed our founders' bios to like Nick Alandria board member. We did like everything we could to leave crumbs for these fans. Yeah, we made a Ranchy Batty Bowl, and I think it did really well. And I think like it was just a great case on how to be chronically online with the fans and how to hop on this fandom early. And I mean, like now Alandria is doing these huge campaigns, and Nick is a DJ and traveling the world. And so it was just one of those like perfect storms where we hit the iron while it was hot before every brand did it. And we did it in the Sweetgreen way, which was our own way. And we had, an amazing team behind it. So it was just freaking awesome.
It was so cool to watch, and I love anyone that can go deep in a fandom to pull things out to kind of bring people along on a story, because that's what takes it a lot of times from like good to great, right? Like anybody can go get a big name celebrity and do a video, right? But how do we start to find ways to really invest in that fandom and pull them into our story, but make it kind of relevant? I think that's so cool. There was a LinkedIn post that you made a while back that I wanted to pull up here. At Auntie Anne's, I cosplay your cool aunt online. At Sweetgreen, I cosplay a bowl of kale. LOL, JK. At Little Spoon, I get to play the role of your ride or die mom friend. Yes. Tell me a little bit about where this comes from.
I think like the beautiful thing about social is you literally are an actress or an actor. Like, at Auntie Anne's, I think the strategy really was being your cool aunt online. So I had to channel that energy, your cool aunt who slides you $20, every time you see her. Mm-hmm. Or she, says stuff like turned up and you're like, oh my God, Auntie, shut up, And so I really channeled your cool aunt energy. And I wasn't afraid to be cringe, and I wasn't afraid to hop on trends with Auntie Anne's. At Sweetgreen, it was different. We were a little bit more serious. We held to the standard of what people, expected from us, and we were cool. We were tasteful. We were stylish. We were trendy without following trends. And then at Little Spoon, like, I want to be your cool mom friend. Like, I want to be the person that you're texting at 3 a.m. and I'm replying right back because I'm also awake with my child. Like, I want to be like, that meme where it's like two girls saying exactly to each other. Like, that's like the meme that I play in my mind when I think about Little Spoon. And I think when you can like find these types of personas that you can cosplay every day at work, it makes your life a lot easier, because the way you're community managing, the way that you're writing captions, the content creators you want to work with, like, fit in these buckets because you want to be friends with them, because you want to text them, because you think they're the cool aunties online. And so I think that's maybe like a secret that, I want to spill, is that like when I come online, like, I am someone else. I'm not Bari. Obviously there's parts of me that come out. But I feel like when you really understand who you are, it makes your job a lot easier.
That's so good. Let's talk about the growth perspective a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people that listen to this that are, we don't do a lot of career kind of advice, but it's a part of what we're all doing. And I'd love to know, like, what's one of the hardest, lessons or things you had to learn from when you were a community manager to now, thinking like a brand social director.
That you're replaceable. Like, there is someone always fighting for your spot. And I left Sweetgreen. I left Coke when, COVID was happening. They did a huge layoff. And I was like, you know what? This is my time to figure something out. Sweetgreen, they said you have to, they were getting rid of our remote employees. So you're going to have to kind of figure it out. And so I was putting myself first in those situations where, like, I'm not going to pick up my life and move to LA for this job. I'm going to take this opportunity to find something better. I know like a lot of layoffs are happening now, but just take it as an opportunity to really reflect and put the energy behind it. Like, this is the best thing that could ever happen to me.
All right, we're going to end this with a quick lightning round. All right, okay. Are you ready?
No.
First one is influencers or creators?
Creators. I mean both, but creators for me.
Reels or TikTok?
Reels. Easy.
Yeah, I knew the answer to this. Auntie Anne's, regular pretzel or cinnamon and sugar?
Oh, I'm a cinnamon sugar girl.
Same.
And if we want to really rowdy up the crowd, people like cinnamon sugar dipped in mustard. I don't know about that.
Oh no, I am out on that.
Yeah.
trend social, or high quality, like these shows nowadays that we're getting on social?
Can I like both?
You can like both, but you got to choose one.
Trends.
Trend. Oh, she's still a trend girl.
Yeah.
Quality versus quantity.
Quality, easy.
Interesting. We disagree there, but there's a whole other conversation about that.
Yeah,
I think quantity and for the right brand leads to quality. If you get enough at bats.
Okay, I agree with that.
Sweetgreen or Kava?
Oh, Sweetgreen, get out of my face.
All right, Andrew. I'm telling you, you can be friends and also be enemies. It's fine. Well, Bari, dude, so much fun. I had such a blast today.
I hope I didn't yap too much. I kind of word vomit sometimes, and
no. It was all good. We appreciate the time. And again, if you're not following her, what do you have? Like 27,000 followers. Holy crap!
Don't ask me how that happened. I have no idea.
But we can't wait till we continue to watch your journey at Little Spoon. Continue to test. All right, everybody. That's it. Another episode of Radical Content. We'll see you.